G'day everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another one of my EV realist videos. In this series I seek to inject a note of sanity into the breathless hysteria surrounding net zero and EVs currently being peddled by our governments. So if you like this kind of content, it would be great to have you as a subscriber, and don't forget to enable all notifications so you never miss another video. In this episode, I'm going to explain why EV insurance and repair costs are going to continue to spiral out of control. It's been prompted by a poor guy in Canada who bought a pre-owned 2017 Hyundai Ioniq with only 69,000 kilometers on the clock, but just after he'd exceeded the warranty limit of 160,000 kilometers, the battery failed.
I felt like I got kicked in the privates.
Simrat Such is still feeling the pain over what recently happened with his electric vehicle.
I was an electric fan, and I want to get another electric vehicle, but from Hyundai, this has really put a bad taste in my mouth towards them.
He was the second owner, but the car still had lots of warranty left on the electrical system and battery at the time.
I had an EV light come on. I had taken it to the shop. They couldn't find anything wrong.
But there was indeed a problem.
2 weeks after that, the vehicle stopped charging.
The dealership in Hamilton said he needed the battery replaced. The quote stunned him.
I was provided a quote at $50,000.
Between the battery installation and taxes, it totaled just over $50,000.
I was just floored.
Especially because his 160,000 kilometer electric vehicle warranty had just run out. The dealer at Hyundai told Such there was nothing they could do.
I ended up scrapping the vehicle and collecting around $1,000.
$1,000? Oh my lord. That's all it was worth as scrap. I mean, that must be one of the most expensive batteries in history. I'm not even sure it's correct, but whether it's 50,000 or 30,000 or 15,000, it's probably still more than the car is worth. Now, the EV proponents will tell you that EVs are simpler to repair, so few moving parts, much less than an ICE car, yada yada yada. But they forget that one of these components essentially comprises a huge proportion of the value of the car. The traction battery. This is the battery that provides power to the traction motors, and it's usually located under the entire floor of the car. It's comprised of over 7,000 individual lithium-ion cells that look like oversized AA batteries, all jammed together in a huge metal tin, literally like sardines, together with a bunch of electronics called the battery management system that deals with the charging and balancing of the cells. All of this is complicated further by the presence of an intricate cooling system, which is required to take heat away from the cells during both charging and discharging. Most of these traction batteries are not easily repairable. Some can be removed and have modules replaced by the right technicians with the right diagnostic equipment, but most can't, including Tesla, which admits that its batteries are not repairable as they form part of the vehicle's structure. So in the event of an impact that affects the battery, even a mild impact like scraping the bottom from accidentally grounding the car, repair shops are not going to take the risk that some of the cells have been damaged internally and might catch fire at some point in the future. They essentially have no choice but to replace the entire battery. Here's a photo of a Volkswagen ID4 that suffered a small 5mm scrape to the underside of the battery casing. The battery was deemed unrepairable because it would be cheaper to replace the whole thing than to dismantle, repair and replace the existing battery. The other problem that will fundamentally affect repair is the requirement to quarantine EVs with damaged batteries at least 15 meters in the UK away from any other vehicles or property, so that in the event it catches fire it won't damage anything else. Unfortunately, however, as this photo shows, only 8 EVs can be stored in the same space as 100 regular cars. And if this area is surrounded by buildings or other structures, that number drops to just 2. Why would repairers want to tie up 100 car spaces for just 2 EVs? Answer, they won't. And that's why it's so much easier to just total the car out and get rid of it. And before we move on to insurance, the EV proponents would say, well, you've got to replace your engine sometimes and that costs just about the same. To which I would say, that's absolute nonsense. Let's think about this. What other than a catastrophic timing failure or bottom end bearing failure would require a completely new engine? And even those can be repaired if you're determined enough. How many times have you actually had a new engine in your car? I've had probably 50 vehicles over my lifetime and I've never ever had to have a new engine. Seriously, let me know in the comments if you've ever had to replace an engine in your ICE car. And the reason for this is because engines and transmissions are made up of component parts. The failed part can be replaced quickly, cheaply and easily. Even if a new engine is required, it's usually just a short block, which is the block, the pistons and the crankshaft, or a long block which includes the heads and valve train. It's extremely rare to require an entire new engine. So many components can just be swapped from the old one onto the new one, saving tons of money. ICE cars don't just have this one amorphous blob of stuff, which if damaged can't be repaired. So it's the simplicity of EVs that the proponents are always going on about that make them so difficult to repair. And all of this flows on to insurance costs, because if EVs, even if they're only involved in minor accidents, frequently require completely new traction batteries, then the insurers are going to pass this on to their customers in terms of higher premiums. And because of the difficulty in triaging the condition of the traction battery, the whole EV claims process is far more complex and long-winded than for ICE cars, and insurers are going to pass those additional costs on to customers as well. So it's clear that because of the nature of EVs and the fact that they have this huge component which makes up so much of the value of the car and is so difficult to work on, repair shops are just not going to get involved with that kind of difficult work, and they're going to just want the car totaled out so that they can get rid of it. And the consequence of that is that EV insurance premiums are going to continue to rise more and more. So that's just about it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. Drop a comment down below, let me know what you think. If you've got any tips or stories, you can hit me up on Instagram or by email. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye for now.